Good morning. Well, just to honor your time, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm so glad because we didn't do a registration for this class. We never know who is going to be here, and so I am thrilled to see exactly this group of people. This is we are blessed to be together this morning, and I always like to start off and just like 30 seconds of devotion. And I don't know if y'all have ever read Bob Goff. I think he's a non-denominational guy, but he writes beautifully. And anyway, you can see that this book has been, I have loved this book. So I'm just gonna open today with just a few of his quotes that I have tabbed that I thought they applied and kind of set the conversation for today. And obviously it's I feel like it's Holy Spirit driven. So in this book, it's called Love Does by Bob Goff. He says, and these are just different quotes. I used to think God guided us by opening and closing doors, but now I know sometimes God wants us to kick down some doors. I used to think I could shape the circumstances around me, but now I know Jesus uses circumstances to shape me. I used to think I had to act a certain way to follow God, but now I know God doesn't want us to be typical. And of course, we have a house full of dogs as well. And then I wanted to close with this quote from Bob Goff. I used to want to fix people, but now I just want to be with them, which I thought was powerful. And it kind of sets the tone for today's conversation. And so welcome everyone. And I'm going to share my screen. I've got some slides so that you don't have to look at me. And we're going to talk a little bit. There we go. We're going to talk, first of all, of course, y'all are here because we're going to talk about planning our communication for Holy Week. But through that, and I'm sure that you're ready, you've got your pencil and your paper or your second tab ready so that you can just take notes on and create a checklist. And we're going to do that. But first, I felt like it was very important that we go ahead and kind of set the stage and determine, what is it we're really going to be trying to do, and that how we want to be able to connect with people during Holy Week. So the first question, and I hope that y'all will feel comfortable to unmute, but I would love to hear, how do people know you? And not just you, but your church. How does your community know you? And I put down a few of these because this is all going to determine how we communicate with people regarding Holy Week and regarding anything beyond Holy Week. So I feel like, of course, people know our churches because of the outreach that we do, our feeding pantry, our feeding ministry. We may have a thrift store. We may do backpacks at the local school for kids, or we show up for FCA, whatever that may be. But I felt like that was a big one. I also jotted down our parishioners. People, there's more of them than there are clergy, for sure, a whole lot more of them. And so I feel like that a lot of times, it can be attributed to guilt by association sometimes. But people know our church because of our parishioners, and people know our church because of our building. I mean, for many of us, our buildings have been there a long time, a long, long, long time. And of course, many of us know our churches because of our pastor. In small towns, which is where I'm from, it makes the newspaper when the United Methodist Church gets a new pastor, or there, people host. I mean, which of course your parishioners are going to, host things for you, but the community reaches out, and the community, everyone celebrates. It's a celebration, and so therefore, that's a given. Your people know you because of who the pastor is. On down the list, not as much important things, or I would say key things, but some people know you because of your social media. And these may be people that are new to your town. This may be people who are not even in your town, but it's someone's sister from far away, or whatever. But that could be a way that people can know you, is through your social media, and of course through your website. I love the fact that so often today you hear that, and it's true, that when people are searching for a new church, or when people move to a new place to live, new town, they don't drive by the building anymore. They use this. They Google, and they find your church in that way. And now I would like to pose this. And I'll tell you what, did I miss anything? Is there anything anybody else would like to add? And go ahead and speak up. You don't have to raise your hand. Okay. So now the next question is, how do we want people to know us? How do we want people to know our church? And this is we're talking church. We're talking parishioners, clergy, the building, the grounds, the ministry. How do we want people to know us? Well, is it through our outreach? And this is the same list that we looked at on the previous screen. Is it through our outreach? I would say that we do want people to know about our outreach. And that's one of the things that usually we promote really, really well, is that we are really good about saying, food pantries open on Wednesday, or I know DeQueen, First United Methodist Church in DeQueen is really good because they will get bonus boxes of food. And they just put it out on, I mean, it's non-perishable stuff, but they just put it out on the curb, and they post, stop by this afternoon. We've got cans of green beans, as many as you can carry. And so that's an easy thing to relate to our community and for people to know us for. Again, our parishioners, we can't control our parishioners. we can't control some of the things that happens to us. We're all people, we're all humans. And God made us the way that he made us on purpose. But people in the community know our church and associate our church with our parishioners. And how do we want them to know us through our parishioners? Would anyone like to share? What is something that you would hope that people would know about our church through our parishioners?
If I may, Amy,
Yeah.
something I like for our church and our parishioners to be known as are those that are serving, open-minded, and practical about their faith.
Nice.
So those three things really would be wonderful if that's how we could be known as in the community.
Love that. Love that. Practicality is one of those human elements that a lot of people are attracted to. especially in these days and times. Practicality um, is something, and that I can see that as people wanting to be part of groups that are practical. What about our building? What about our buildings? You know, I just keep throwing this in here because our church so much, people think that our church is our building. I sometimes will say that church. And I mean, I think we all do. And we're referring to the building and not the people and not the ministry. But it's important. It's important that our community sees that our church is well kept, that the grass gets mowed in the summers, that here's a big one, that they see people coming and going, that there's cars in the parking lot, that it's a vibrant place to be. And of course our pastor, and for those pastors who are on this call today, y'all walk a slippery slope. You're real people. You're also called to be a theological leader of a flock of sheep. And so therefore everyone expects you to be Jesus, basically. You're not allowed to make mistakes. You're not allowed to say something out of turn. You're not allowed to be angry. You're not allowed to be tired. But also it's important that people know you as being available, as being, I'm sorry, the grandson, as being available, as being friendly, as being practical. What are some other things that you want people to know you for, pastors?
Being someone safe they can come and talk to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Providing a safe space, being honest and transparent, and not afraid to say, you know what, I don't know, but I'll find out for you. Or I'm going to connect you to someone who does know. Or saying, having the confidence to pray with people, to open a book and share a parable that reflects in what is happening in their life. All of those things. And then of course we're talking about social media again. How do you want people to know you? I would say that for social media, it's kind of one of those things that people expect. It's no longer sets you above and beyond. It's expected. And so your social media, you want people to know you and your social media because you are connected to your community. You may share information about what's going on with the local basketball team, or what's going on at the local library, or you are always showing pictures of faces of people within your church as they're doing outreach, or as they're studying, or as they're just being a good friend. It's no longer, what I want you to take from this is it's no longer just sets you apart, it's expected. And one of my high horses is nothing worse than a Facebook page that hasn't been updated in 6 months or 6 years. But it's never too late to start. Social media is a way to connect with people who don't know you. It's a great way to connect with people who don't know your church. Same with the website. We talked about it a minute ago, that it is now our new front door. When people move to your community, or when people are ready to find a church home, Very often it is that they do a Google search for local churches, and they might, these days, people are less likely to look for a Baptist church or a Lutheran church or a United Methodist church. They're just looking for church. Any comments there? Any questions? So then, now that we've kind of shifted our mind to be able to think about who other people think we are, or who our community thinks about us, how they think about us as the building, as the people, as the leader, as the ministry. Now, where do we begin? So one of the best ways to begin, I think, is, and in the last cohort, and I'm thrilled to see that I have almost all new people in this cohort for Holy Week this week. We talked a lot about people first communication, about that we are about how we, on our social media, from the pulpit, on our live stream worship, in the community, that all of those should mirror each other, that we should communicate more so like we are talking to somebody, that we're so many times we're so accustomed to going everyone or them or that group that I cannot see and maybe will never see, or just the community. We lump all those things together, and they don't have a face, and they don't have a name, and they don't have a voice, when actually we really know that that community or that group are each individual. They are all individuals just like us. I love to share the data that was, I went to a conference last year in Houston, and it was with the Texas Methodist Foundation, and they shared that they had conducted a survey along with Barna, who many United Methodists have heard of Barna and trust their work. So they did a survey, and they surveyed thousands of people, because both of these organizations have money and they can. They surveyed thousands of people and asked them, what are you looking for? No, let me take that back. If you were to look for a church, if you were to be searching for a church home, what would you want? What do you want when you are going to be searching for a church home? Number one, 72% of the answers, authentic friendship. People want authentic friendship. People are lonely. We're tired. We're insecure. We don't feel connected. We want authentic friendship. So in the last cohort, we talked about keeping that in mind each time we are talking to a new person, talking to an old parishioner, speaking from the pulpit, on your social media, on your website, in your bulletins, in your newsletters. Think about how you are talking to people that, even as crotchety as they may be, that 72% of those people, potentially more, really want authentic friendship. So let's talk about value. We've talked a little bit about tools that we use when, especially when we're preparing for Holy Week. We have access to all of these tools. We all do, and then we're also going to talk about the people aspect, the hospitality, the human being pieces, and talk about the values for each. And also, which is the best audience? Which is best for every audience? At the conference office, we have 3 different audiences. And I would say that a local church does too. Can anyone guess what those audiences when we are communicating? Whether you are communicating on Facebook, whether you are communicating from the pulpit, whether you are on your local radio show, whether you're at the Rotary Club, you are talking to 3 different groups of people. Our leaders, our members, and our seekers, and especially so for the local church. The conference does a little bit of work on seekers, but as far as trying to reach seekers, but really and truly, our work in trying to reach seekers is to try and promote your work, because you are on the ground and you are in the community. And so that's how we try and promote and reach people who are seeking a church, seeking to have God in their lives. So let's talk a little bit about the tools. So bulletins. Bulletins are used to be able to communicate with what 2 groups? Our leaders and our members, and maybe if someone is visiting our church, right? Maybe. That kind of communication tool is something that raise your hand if your bulletin is very personable. Does it say to you, I want to be friends with you? Jeremy, maybe. Does it say this is a safe place to make friends? Does it say practicality? Does it say Jesus? Okay. Just think about that. And this is an opportunity for you to, Spencer, go ahead.
I was just agreeing and raising my hand as well.
Great. Praise hands. I love it. And this is an opportunity for you to consider this for your Holy Week bulletins, because goodness knows we're going to have lots of them. We have our church members that expect very traditional, classic, order of worship, and that's it. But this whole entire cohort is been put together to just inspire you to ask the question, what would it look like if? What would it look like if this week of the year, the one of the most special weeks of the year, I think, what would it look like if we did something a little different? Let's talk about our newsletters. Whether it's print, whether it's emailed, doesn't matter. Does your newsletter convey a sense of friendliness? Does it convey a sense of community, safety? Or does it just have really cute little graphics that say, popcorn party, February 9th. Everyone come 6 p.m. Probably that's what our newsletters look like. What would it look like if it said, bring a friend. Here's how you can invite people to come have popcorn. Hop on a Zoom with us and let's talk about how we can invite the community to come to this event. Or it could have, you say why we're getting together for having popcorn on February 9th. Why are we having a popcorn party? And I know pastors, I know you're sitting there going, gosh, this is so much work. And my person that is doing the newsletter is going to kill me. But this is something that we could work on slowly. But it's a tool, and why not use it? And who says that we can't make change to, instead of like what Bob Goff said, instead of trying to tell people what to do, instead of trying to fix people, what if we just wanted to be with people? Same with our website. I remember, I think most of you, or many of you may know, Nathan Kilburn, who at the time he was serving at Jacksonville, and now he is serving in at First Conway. And Colleen is on here. She serves alongside Pastor Nathan. I remember he and I having a conversation during COVID when we were talking about websites, and we were talking about, websites for many people are used for two reasons. Information. And we're gonna go in depth about our websites next week, y'all. So plan to be back. It's information sharing, but it's also connecting, because how many people do you know, and how many people are you? Because I'm one of those people. How many people sometimes just don't want to talk to people? How many of you just want to connect, but you don't want to have to talk or pick up the phone or show up? Or anyway, I love a website. Many people love a website that you can sit down with a cup of coffee and one page takes you to the next. But all of the information that you need is right there on the front page. But if you want to learn more, you can. Oh, awesome, Colleen. Colleen just sent me a message saying that she and Nathan are working on a new website, or a refreshed website for Conway. That's great. Good luck. Shoo. But it's also really cool to be able to have a cup of coffee, sit down at a website, you find what you need, but then there's always something that says, want to know more, or have you thought about this? Websites are a great opportunity to reach people that are not just scrolling, that do not want just the information, that might have time, that there might be something that they can learn more, that can connect them to your church community, or connect them closer to Christ. I know you find that silly, but you never know. I mean, the Bible is just a click away, Okay, social media. Value of social media is, we know it's not just a tool that, like I said, is new and exciting and refreshing. It is expected. It is expected, not just by your members, but by your leaders. It's a connector tool. Some people don't have time to read the newsletter, so they look for event information on Facebook, because they are constantly going like this. It's important, y'all. It's important to keep it updated. It's also very important to not just put your streaming services up there every week. I mean, that's a great tool. And that's probably one of the, I'm going to say, one of the best ways to reach people in your community. It's probably not the number one way. So just to have that information, and not maybe hey, this is Pastor Amy. I'm going to be at Wendy's today from 9 until 11. If you'd like to stop by and pray, or if you'd like to even just stop by and tell a few jokes, or just catch up, would love that. That's a great opportunity to use social media, and for you to also be connecting with your community. Wouldn't it be great to be known as the pastor who's at Wendy's on Tuesday mornings, and that is just open to having conversation with anybody? For many of us, that would be stepping outside of our comfort zone. I know I'm an extroverted introvert, and that terrifies me, to have to just sit there and visit with people. Sorry. Okay. Planning with communication tools is absolutely key, y'all. This is something that you can give to a lay person in your church to do. They don't have to do it. If you don't trust anybody to manage your social media or to manage your news letter or your bulletin or the website, but to have a set of eyes, or maybe 2 or 3 people to have a set of eyes that they can keep an eye on the community and they can keep you in the know, and say, you know, pastor or communication person, this is going on right now in the community and we need to show our support, or this is an opportunity for us to connect. Use these tools in that way. Reverend Peaches,
Good morning.
good morning.
I thought I had my hand raised a long time ago back
I'm
at the
sorry.
bulletin. No, it's okay. I didn't. I'm trying to drive and get to the office and
Yeah.
do 12 other things. But back on the bulletin, you were talking about that. There are a couple of things that, first of all, I see our bulletin as an extension of the ministry tool because people take them home and you never know where they're going to end up or with who, you know, if they
Amen.
have them in their Bible, they fall out in the restaurant, whatever. And making sure that that bulletin does not have any mistakes.
Woo! Preach.
Now, you want to see me act crazy? Let me find a bunch of mistakes in the bulletin. But for me, that's why I always ask that the bulletin be sent back to me for my final approval, because that gets another set of eyes looking at it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes your brain will get ahead of your eyes or vice versa, and you don't see the mistake. So
Yes.
having it come back to me for final approval, is really important. And at the very bottom of the bulletin, it says, service subject to the Holy Spirit. So in other words, it could change.
Right. There you go. I love it. A
Yeah.
little tip, y'all jot this down. One of the best tools that I use to help me with misspelling, even though I studied English in school and I am the product of a English retired school teacher who taught English for I don't know how many years. Not all of us know grammar, and that's okay. But there's a tool to help you with that. And it's a tool that you can install. It's an app called Grammarly. Grammarly. And in my follow-up email with y'all, I will send you a link to it. It's one of the greatest tools. Now, it uses artificial intelligence, and it reads, it tells you when, it highlights when you've misspelled a word. It highlights when you left off a period. It tells you when you have said something that might be passive aggressive. It also helps if you are writing something that is very business, that is going to be to your board of trustees, or to the mayor, or it helps you. I mean, it doesn't just, it just highlights the word or the sentence. It's not like you have to do extra work. It's connected to your email. I have it even connected to my text messages. It helps me look smarter. It helps me look like I know what I'm saying and what I'm doing. Highly recommend it. I think you can get a free version of it. It's called Grammarly. Okay. In hospitality, let's talk about value in hospitality. And I'm going to tell you right now that the communication tools that we use are very important. And I preach on those things. If you know me, I preach on them and they're important. But let's think about how often we forget about organic, grassroots, word of mouth communication. if you've ever been on social media and you see all these people that are on there and they're trying to sell something, this is the greatest book I've ever read. And if you click on this link, you can get it for a 10% discount or whatever. And that's their business and that's how they're making money. But people buy that stuff. I mean, I buy that stuff because they feel like that person is someone like them. And that's why that business has exploded, because people relate to other people and not just something that says, hey, come do this, or hey, buy this here's a 10% coupon. So what would it look like if we shifted from, again, information overload, outputting information, telling people what to do, to connecting with people? And through that, a lot of your frontline communication every week, these are some of the tools that we use that are also reflected and referred to as hospitality. Phone calls and text messages. How many of you on this call, and I can't see everybody and that's fine, how many of y'all make phone calls or send text messages to stay connected with people, individuals, every day, probably every day? Yeah. That's so important. Keep it up. Keep it up. I will tell you that a lot of times, and y'all may be like me, I don't answer my phone. I always let someone leave a voicemail and then I call them back. For me and my job, I don't know if it's a reporter. I don't know if I don't know who it is, I don't answer my phone. Now, I'm going to listen to their voicemail, or I'm going to see who called, and I'm going to call them back pretty quickly. But I usually vet calls, and it also goes back to my personality of I'm a little bit introverted. Y'all, I really appreciate a text before that says, hey, Amy, can I give you a call? Sure, absolutely. Yes. So consider that, pastors. Consider that there are weird people like me that when you want to call them and you know that it's their cell phone, shoot them a text first and say, hey, can I give you a call? Jeremy.
This is along the same lines, geared towards pastors specifically, but of course anyone can use this. So something I've done, speaking of hospitality and just a text message platform, I do this not as often as I probably should or like to, nor did I don't know where the idea came from, but I just started doing it. So about once every 2 months, maybe sometimes more frequently, I will send a text message out to all of my parishioners.
Yeah.
It takes me about 2 hours realistically to get through people, to get through responses and things, but just a quick message saying, hey, so-and-so, I'm praying for you today. I hope that you know that Jesus loves you, that you're cared for. If you need anything at all, or like any prayer, just give me a shout. I do that about every 6 weeks to 2 months to everyone. And it's been wonderful feedback from it. Just that quick message, knowing that the pastor is thinking about you. And I try to do it on like not the middle of the business day, but like a Tuesday or Wednesday at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Some time like that when I know, okay, they're busy at work. They're probably stressed out already about something going on the weekend.
Yeah.
On the best time. So that's just a recommendation that's worth.
I love that. And since I am on the parishioner side of this, I can't tell you how much a text message from my pastor means to me. I just cannot tell you how much a text message, and especially when it's unexpected, and especially when you're not pushing information. Right. I love that. And it's people first, y'all. It's loving people. It's connecting with people. It's not trying to tell them what to do. It's trying to be their friend. That's great. let's talk about coffee meetings. I know not everybody drinks coffee, not everybody drinks tea. You know, when it gets to be, yeah, there you go. When the weather gets warmer, I know every single one of y'all on this call, you have a Sonic in your town. We all have a Sonic. And a lot of those Sonics have a playground or have a picnic table or whatever. What a great place to meet people and be outside and connect and get a Diet Coke or get some sweet tea or whatever, a slush, milkshake, whatever. But great opportunity. Cannot recommend to you enough how special it is for people to know that they have 30 minutes of your time. You know, the very barriers. I'm all about barriers, y'all. I'm all about barriers because we know the people that take advantage of your time. But you know, this means a lot. And especially to the people that you don't know well. Especially to the people that are thinking about coming to your church, or a new neighbor, or someone that has moved into the neighborhood of the church. How awesome would that be, to get to meet the pastor and to get to gather with the pastor and maybe learn a little bit about the community. Okay, listening.
I have a on the coffee meetings thing.
Yes.
So I got here, this is actually 1 year ago today.
Jared, tell us where you serve. And I'm sorry, Jeremy, where do you serve?
I serve at Swifton. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, you're wonderful. Hoxie Walnut Ridge.
Great. And
We're
Peaches,
neighbors.
Reverend Peaches spoke before,
Yeah.
and she serves at Salem and Conway. And anyway, she can share with us in just a minute. So tell us, Jared, where you serve.
I serve at Swifton and Tuckerman.
Swifton and Tuckerman. Great.
And unfortunately, we don't have a Sonic, but we do have one in Newport. So
Okay.
but for the coffee meetings, that was my first thing that I actually set up when I got here. Every Thursday, mine's going to start at 10 o'clock, actually, every Thursday at 10 o'clock at Tuckerman, Wednesdays at 10 o'clock at Swifton. I come to the fellowship hall, I make the coffee. Sometimes I bring donuts if I remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, just have a weekly gathering when people
I
can come
love
in
that.
and out. And so we do that.
That's awesome.
And
have you considered just printing off some little, and like use a maybe just a piece of copy paper and copying and pasting it like 8 times, and maybe if you have a copier or a printer that can make it on thicker paper, to be able to give people that come to coffee, give them a card that they can carry with them that says, come have coffee with me. And that they can easily hand to a neighbor or hand to someone they've just met. Equipping our parishioners to be able to invite people is huge. And just think, especially when you're doing something, when you're trying to get people in, when you're not going out, but when you're trying to get people in, these days we have to take extra steps. If we want to
we also have a
don't know.
sign out front too.
Beautiful. I love it.
That was one of the first things that my parishioners made for me for that. And it says, it's a yellow sign right out front by the church. It says coffee with the pastor Thursdays 10 to noon. But I do like the idea of the cards. I haven't done that yet, but I'll start.
Well, it's cheap. It's cheap and it's easy, and men can just stick it in their wallet. Women can put it in their purse or something. I don't know. It may get all jumbled up, but that was just one of those ideas that especially when we're trying to get people to come in, we've got to do a better job of equipping our people to be able to invite people. because United Methodist people are not very good at that. We're just not. It hasn't been drilled in us. It just hasn't. So y'all are really good at it. Pastors, communicators, y'all are really good at it, but the majority, there's only just one or two of us, in our church. So don't forget to equip people to be able to invite. Listening, how important is listening? And thank you for sharing that, Jared. That's awesome. I hope y'all are inspired. Listening to people is huge. Y'all do that all the time. You do it well. I don't have to tell you how important it is. Keep up the great work. And then also planning ahead, y'all. Hospitality doesn't just happen. It doesn't. It also requires planning. The best hospitality requires planning. And the best hospitality is when everybody who's on the inside knows what they're doing, knows what they're supposed to say, knows what they're supposed to do. Instead of just leaving it up for who knows for whatever situation or scenario, we're going to have someone that I'm going to walk into their church and they're going to say in just the most loving way, "Is your husband parking the car? Do I need to get you 2 seats or 1 seat?" What? Okay, it's happened. Planning ahead, which is key. So really quickly, where is your influence? For each of us, most of you on this call are pastors. So your influence is, you have it. Some of us are communicators and we have a little influence, but not a lot. And so, and also, do you have a list? And that list goes back to the hospitality. Who are your frontline people? Who are the people that are going to show up at the food pantry and pack the boxes and stand in the background? Who are the people that might help with packing the boxes, but are going to talk to every single person that comes in the door? Those are your frontline people. Do you have a list of those people? If you don't, make a list, because those are your people. And if you don't know that you have those people, then have coffee with your people and find out. Identify your frontline people. Also figure out who's in charge, who's the influencer in your church. And for most of you on this call, that's you. So you are the ones that can make suggestions. You're the ones that can say, "Hey, let's get together and talk about this." You're the ones that can say, what would it look like if? Y'all, what would it look like if instead of just handing people a bulletin on Sunday, we looked at that person as a potential new friend? What would it look like? And that involves planning. So find out who's in charge, who is your influencer, who can make things happen. And then if you are that person, have your list. Have your list of frontline people. So in closing, I hope that this has been helpful for y'all, just to kind of get a mindset of thinking about going into Holy Week, because from here on out, we're going to be doing checklists. We're going to be talking about ideas. We're going to be doing some things that have to be updated, or some ideas of creative things that we can do, all of the things. But today was just to kind of set the table a little bit and hopefully get you all to thinking about a different way to reach people in Holy Week of 2024 and beyond. So what I'm hoping this week on your to-do list is that you identify where your gaps are, that you think about your church during the week. take 15 minutes, just 15 minutes, go down the church calendar of what happens in your week and think about each opportunity that you have or that someone has in your church to reach new people or to reach people that you've known for 50 years. This doesn't have to always be new people, but it could be someone that lives next door, but they don't come to church, or maybe they do come to church, but whatever. It's people. Where are my gaps? Where are we lacking? Where are we lacking? Either in a tool like the newsletter or our bulletin, or are we lacking in the fact that we don't have somebody that is inviting somebody, or we don't have somebody talking about how awesome this is? Because we know that an invitation on social media, we know that an invitation from someone that lives 2 doors down, that's different. An invitation from the grocery store clerk, from you to the grocery store clerk after y'all have just talked about how good God is in your life, that means something. That means something. The other is important and it's expected. But where are your gaps and where can you make improvements? Make a list. You're already going to start on identifying your people. Who are your frontline people? Who are your frontline people? Who are your, not just your talkers, because just because people are talkers doesn't mean they say the right things. But who are your people? Who are your people that, which ultimately we want everybody. We want everybody the minute they leave church to be representing our church and inviting people, being like Jesus, seeing other people, seeing Jesus in other people. That's what we want from all of our people. But I would go ahead and make a list of the people that you know you can count on, or that maybe you need to have a conversation with, that maybe they could be on that list. I would also consider setting a meeting, a gathering with your people who do hospitality, and not just Sunday morning greeters, but your maybe you include Sunday school teachers. They welcome people. Maybe you include Bible study leaders. Maybe you include, whoever it is that has the potential to meet someone new or meet someone who hasn't been there in a long time. They need to gather with you and talk about and dream about what would it look like if. So those are my suggestions. That's what I want to leave you with today. If you want to take a picture of this screen so you'll have it and save it. If you've jotted it down, that's fine. I'm going to follow up with an email that have these things in it and a couple of links of some tools that can potentially help you in your ministry. I will do that as well. Y'all, this week has been a lot of me talking. Next week is not going to be a lot of me talking. I hope you will be back. I hope that this was valuable for you. We have work to do. We have good work to do. And I couldn't be happier that we are getting to do this work together. And I'll go ahead and close this in prayer. Father God, we are grateful for each and every one of these people that you called to be here today. We have something working in us, Lord. We have something that is working, that is stirring, that is wanting to be Jesus to the people. We have something in us that is wanting to see Jesus in the people. We want to be their friend, Lord. We want our people to want to be their friends. We want them to know about your love. We want them to be able to feel the love. Lord, I ask that you be with all of these people as they go throughout the rest of their week and this weekend, and lift them and help them to know that you love them and that you are so proud of them. We ask these things in your son's name. Amen. Y'all have a great rest of the week. I'll see you next week, okay?
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you.